The Crossman Conversation CEO edition is brought to you by First Horizon Bank, 3MG Roofing, RB Marks Construction, Avcon, Maynard Nexon, ECS, and USI.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests on the following program do not necessarily represent those of Mark Radio, The Shepherd, or its advertisers.
Welcome to the Crossman Conversation, CEO edition, offering insights, wisdom, and counsel from the most respected CEOs. Here is the host of the Crossman Conversation, CEO edition, John Crossman.
Hello, this is John Crossman, and welcome to the Crossman Conversation, CEO edition. Today's guest is Sal Tarsia. He's a managing partner at Castle Green Finance. Sal, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Sal, it's a pleasure and honor to have you on the show. Can you start off today by just telling us a little bit about today's real estate market? What are your thoughts on it?
Sure, absolutely. So the real estate market has really endured some significant changes over the last 6 to 7 years. It ran into several major obstacles, including COVID, very significant inflationary pressure that followed, and then the Fed's reaction to that by raising rates some 500 basis points in a very short period of time. So that's created a lot of change in the real estate market, from rotation out of the office space with people becoming more accustomed to working from home, necessitating a lot of companies to downsize their office needs or have more flexible schedules. Also, and this has been building for a number of years, the retail sector really suffering a tremendous amount, driven largely by Amazon and its competitors, taking, real estate off of the kind of hard bricks and sticks and onto online. So some of the real estate sectors that, we, among other lenders really focus on, are, the other basic food groups. Industrial is still, very popular. There's, really no replacing industrial from an internet standpoint, and it's one of those things where you really have to be there. Multifamily is that'll always be needed, and of course, hospitality. People really can't replace hospitality very easily, although Airbnb is certainly trying to inject itself into that sector in a big way. But some of what we're dealing with right at the moment is we've endured the tariff situation that was put into place and still pops its head every once in a while. We're dealing with renewed inflationary pressure that's driving up construction costs, largely driven by recent events with fuel. And rates have still, at least by, most current standards, have been stubbornly high. So, one of the things that we do in our business through Castle Green Finance is we specialize in green energy financing on commercial real estate. So, through our programs, we're able to combat a lot of what's been going on in the market over the years, including addressing those inflationary pressures by making more affordable capital available. Whereas the more traditional capital stack would tend to have a mortgage loan, some type of subordinate debt, and then equity, PACE has the ability to come in and replace the more expensive subordinate piece or potentially reduce the equity that's needed. That allows building owners to really inject some of those very popular green energy projects into their buildings, both from a renovation standpoint and a construction standpoint. And that's what CPACE was originally created for. CPACE, by the way, stands for Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy. It's a public-private partnership that was designed to encourage capital to go into buildings to make them more energy efficient and sustainable. And that's trickled over into the ground-up construction sector. So, everything that's been going on in the market has really, created some challenges for us, but it's also allowed us the ability to come in as problem solvers for, not only projects that economically weren't penciling out with more expensive capital, but also to jump into some existing projects that may have had significant cost overruns, having a hard time keeping up with the higher interest rates, and being able to inject more affordable capital so that those projects can be completed. So we're very encouraged by the movement and the recognition as an industry that we're starting to get from big commercial real estate brokerage houses. We've focused very intently on creating that awareness of a product that is still relatively new. The commercial C-PACE market really only came into play at the beginning of 2011, and it's a state-by-state program. We started from just a couple of states, starting with California, and now commercial PACE is in 39 states as of last week, with the state of Vermont joining us, as well as Washington, D.C.
Sal, when I listen to you, here's my response. What I hear you saying is COVID rate increases, tariffs. Oh my, that's what I hear you saying. It's like we had this really interesting, weird, 6 years, and it continues. And the output of that is like the complexity of real estate. And like, you're right. Some retail like malls clobbered, but other retail like grocery stores and, unanchored retail is doing fantastic, like the best it's ever been. And so within this weird, complicated world, because we have some people tell us real estate market's doing great, some people tell us terrible, there's guys like you who are helping find solutions for those complicated problems. And that sounds like with C-PACE and the things you're doing, that's what you're pulling out. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The consumer staples are still out there. Some people will shop for their food online, but people still like to go to the supermarket and select the food that they're eating. There was somewhat of a movement towards more flexible work schedules, but COVID really supercharged that and probably advanced that movement by a decade or more, just by getting people used to it and conversely showing employers that it can work.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Suburban office is actually starting to perform better than more urban office.
No, and I get that, because with people working from their homes, like some smaller markets are exploding that weren't before, but because people had options. They didn't have to be in a major metro area. They can be in smaller areas. Sal, we're going to break in just a minute here, but any other quick comments on any of that subject?
No, we're happy to be part of the solution, and really hope that the C-PACE financing message gets out there, and can help a lot of people finish their projects and create new energy efficient, sustainable buildings.
That's awesome. Well, listen, stay right there, Sal, because you're a guy with a lot of experience. I want to have you stay there. We're going to come back and ask for your advice for young professionals. We'll be right back here at the Crossman Conversation, CEO Edition. I'd like to thank Maynard Nexsen, PC, for being a sponsor of our program. Maynard is a full-service law firm with over 600 lawyers in 24 offices nationally, who serve with professional excellence in everything from corporate and business matters to day-to-day legal issues. The office in Central Florida focuses its practice in real estate, corporate transactions and organization, banking and finance, along with trust and estates. To learn more, visit MaynardNexsen.com.
Here's a twist on your typical banking options. What if, instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, You get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
Hello, this is John Crossman, and if you know me, you know I like to talk about tough subjects and a way that we can find solutions. And in my world in real estate, one of the toughest subjects I deal with is dealing with the subject of risk management insurance. And when I'm in that space, I have a couple of go-to guys, and they are Sam Scroggin and Brandon Perlman with USI Insurance. USI is a full-service insurance brokerage company that uses cutting-edge technology for our clients and our prospects. Like I said, there's tough subjects out there, and sometimes they're not even fun to talk about, but you got to. And what you really need in those situations is to find partners. And what I have found is my partnership with Sam and Brandon has given me the tools I need to deal with some of the toughest issues I face in real estate today. If you've got a need, make sure you reach out to my friend Sam and Brandon at USI Insurance. Hey guys, this is John Crossman, and if there's one thing I know about with being a guy that's been in commercial real estate for over 30 years, you better have a good roofer. You got to always look at your properties and know what's going on with your roofs, and there's always issues that come up, and it can be a big deal. So when I have a challenge with any of the roofs in my properties, the first group I call is my friends at 3MG Roofing. These guys understand that time is money. They're efficient. They're experienced. They're problem solvers. They get the job done on time, under budget, and they save us money. And gosh, guys, they can make sure that's safety and other precautions are taken as well. When you're thinking about your roofs on any of your properties, call my friends at 3MG Roofing.
Once again, here's John Crossman.
All right, we're back here at the Crossman Conversation CEO edition with Sal Tarsia. And Sal, listen, you start out in this business as a young strapping guy, and now you've worked up and you're a senior guy in the business now. So you have some perspective. And as we talked about, we've got a lot of young professionals listening to this podcast. What is your advice on the traits they need to work on to be successful senior people in the industry like yourself?
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's hard to believe. I don't know where the last 35 years have gone since I graduated college, but a lot has changed in the market. If I had some advice to offer to younger people, and I give this same advice to my own children who, are now entering the workspace as well, is really pay attention to relationships. Don't be afraid to make that personal contact. Although a lot of things have changed socially with social media and a lot of people reaching each other via, text, social media, email, rather than simply picking up the phone or getting on a plane and going to meet somebody. That personal touch is still very important. And conversely, I would say, to tell them not to get, overly pushed around by some of us older curmudgeons. There is a lot of value in the new way of people reaching each other, in terms of generating scale on a very quick level. We actually do a pretty extensive internship program in our offices. This year we have 16 interns.
Wow.
that are in our office, and we do a couple of different seminars for them every week. We teach them different parts of the business, and we do what we call a Shark Tank challenge, where we really force them to work together, use each other's strengths to overcome the team's weaknesses, and provide a presentation of either a real product or a fictional product that is somewhat based upon the Shark Tank series. And they seem to really enjoy it, and it's a really great learning experience for them on how to present themselves to, not only, in potential interviews, but also further on to potential investors or, even in their personal lives, how to sell themselves.
Do you ever make the interns fight each other? I'm kidding, Sal. I'm kidding. That's a joke. All right. So 16 interns, that's a bunch. I got to think, Sal, you're going through your day and there's all these interns around that sometimes one of them does something and you're like, ooh, that one. I like that one. What is it that an intern does that impresses Sal, that makes him think that's the one that's the next superstar?
Yeah, I think the thing that impresses me the most are those that can really come out of their shell and they show a confidence level. I remember at that age, I was very reserved, always felt that intellectually I had a lot to offer, but it didn't always translate to my mouth. And we actually had one intern this summer. We do a whole sales pitch on the premise of the kind of age-old interview tactic called sell the pen.
Mm-hmm.
And we make them choose something and they sell it. And the one thing that they always do almost invariably is they start to go into their sales pitch. And the intern this year came right out of the gate and started asking questions, which to me was very intuitive. It's one of those things that, after decades of being a salesperson, that you start to learn that you need to know what people want before you can start selling them on something. So that was something that was particularly impressive to me this year.
It's so funny, Sal, because every once in a while I get pitched by a salesperson who tries to ask a lot of questions, and I know what they're doing, and I just jujitsu them back verbally. It's kind of fun. But I love that answer that, like you're saying, they're not doing this obviously just pitching, but they're asking great questions and they're learning, and that impresses Sal. Now, Sal, what's the thing an intern does that makes Sal go, nope? Like what jumps out to you like that? Nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I think, I would kind of break that down into two sectors. And this doesn't happen too often, at least with our intern classes, as I'm glad to see. But, sometimes you have younger people who go to school and think that everything that they're learning in school is everything that there is to know. And they come in and don't really realize that there is a lot to learn in the real world that doesn't necessarily translate to the lecture center. The other thing that I would say that I point out and I would give advice to people is to be enthusiastic. We see a lot of the interns come in, and whether it be because they're shy or just because it's their personality, I don't think that they fully understand that enthusiasm is contagious. And conversely, if they walk in and they're trying to sell a product and don't really feel like they're into that product, or they can't convey the real feelings or project that enthusiasm, it's really a turnoff. And it's one of the things that I try to encourage in the teams when they do their Shark Tank is that the enthusiasm will very often trump a lot of what they're actually saying about the product itself.
I love that, Sal. Sal, my dad was a pastor and civil rights leader, but before he was that, he was a salesman, and he was a top-rate salesman with his company. My dad used to say to me, do you know what the difference between a good salesperson and a great salesperson is? The great salesperson's stories are true. And great salespeople know how to connect to people. And I would tell you, I love what you said about that enthusiasm and positive energy coming out of those 16s interns. I got to mention it must make that whole office feel better, having all that positive young energy around. Is that right?
It really does. It's nice to have them in. It really feels good, from a person who's been in the business for over 3 decades to be able to, transfer some of that experience and intellect that's been, accumulated over the years to the younger generation. Makes me feel good to make a difference like that.
Well, you are making a difference. We got to wrap here just a minute. Sal, any way people can get in touch with you? They want to find out more about you and your company, what you're doing. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I would say that the best way is to go to our website, www.castlegreenfinance.com. There is a form on there on how to reach out. And also my contact information is on there. My cell phone is always with me. Always happy to hear somebody's voice live.
Sal, thank you so much. You're doing a great job in your career and you're building others. And I really appreciate you doing that and taking time to be with us today. So thank you.
Yeah, no, John, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break and be back here with our final segment here at the Crossman Conversation, CEO Edition. This is John Crossman, and in my career, I've worked for over 30 years in the commercial real estate industry. And in that time, I worked with a lot of vendors. And I'll tell you, one of the ones that's my favorite is my friends over at RB Marks Construction. They are one of my go-to guys when we need tenant build-out, construction services, design, build, ground up, and project management. Just absolutely one of the most professional, best people on there. They're all about on time and under budget. If you have a construction need in Central Florida, make sure you check out my good friends, RB Marks Construction. This is John Crossman, and when I'm looking to purchase a new property, upgrade one of my existing properties, perform routine maintenance, tenant improvements, or developing a full-scale project, I reach out to my guys at Avcon. They are planners and engineers that can meet all of my needs, and they can meet all your needs too. If you're looking for assistance with site improvements, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and even structural issues, reach out to my friends at Avcon. They are turning today's ideas into tomorrow's reality. Let me tell you about ECS, because these folks are changing the way projects get built in Florida. ECS brings the horsepower, geotechnical, environmental, materials testing, private provider plan review inspections, and building enclosure expertise, all working together from pre-design to certificate of occupancy. They're employee-owned, they're invested, and they show up ready to solve problems before they become problems. For over 25 years in Florida, developers and owners have counted on ECS to keep projects moving, cut delays, and deliver smart, creative solutions that save real time and real money. And I can say this because I work with them. When you team with ECS, you get partners that are all in on your success. Check them out at ECSlimited.com. You'll be glad you did.
Once again, here's John Crossman.
All right, back here at the Crossman Conversation, CEO Edition. Mike Gillen, how are you, my friend?
Another great show, John.
Sal Tarsia. I like him.
Yeah.
I think he's just an interesting, solid dude. I wish I was interning. I wish I was number 17 intern in that office.
I tell you, man, I love that New York accent he had going on, too.
Look, I mean, talk about somebody's like vibe. Like he's a guy that like I want to talk to, I want to listen to. Because it's funny, he had a great wisdom and professionalism,
right? And
yet there was this approachable humility to him that I really like.
I liked it. I mean, he talked about how they've endured things like, well, I'm sure the tariff situation brought about a lot of problems for a lot of people, and inflation and interest rates being high and all of that. But then he followed all of that up with saying, you got to be a problem solver.
Right. So
great advice.
Right. No, so he's diving in, and like with the CPACE thing, that's the solution he's found. And I would say on top of that, though, the life lesson for all of us is like, hey, tell the truth, acknowledge what the problems are, and then seek to find a solution. And then when he was talking about the relationship stuff, I mean, Mike, how many times are people going to talk about how important relationships are?
That's right.
Here and over, and it's so important. And he was like talking about that personal touch. And I loved how, I feel like what he was saying is we live in a time where you benefit from all the technology. So you can do lots of research on people and things like that and know them better. So leverage what we have today and practice, old school things. And so like if that's the handwritten note or going and seeing people, making the time. And it's hard for all of us. We're all busy. But when you can make time to physically go to somebody's office, look at them face to face, get to know them or get quality time with them, that has real value. And he hit that really well, I thought.
I think it's really insightful to say the emphasis on that personal touch. We live in a time when it should be the easiest thing in the world to have that personal touch. And yet, just like it is with relationships, just because we have the technology that we have, it does not mean that it's going to be an easy thing to actually touch somebody, because you get lost in the hubbub of tech.
No, absolutely. And I mean, again, we still live in a society that we have all these things, and yet mental health is still an issue because sometimes people just, what they need is eye contact, or they need a hug, or they need some level of like personal affirmation. I also want to say this before I run out of time. 16 interns.
Yeah.
16 interns. How great is that?
And how cool that Shark Tank idea.
Oh my gosh. I mean, again, this is a guy, I don't think he even sees it because as he's talking, because he's living it, the generational impact. Those 16 interns are going to remember Sal the rest of their lives, right? They'll be hanging out with their buddies when they're 60s and 70s, like, remember Sal, And here's one of the things I want to make a point of is that if you're listening to this and you're ramping up your company, think about Sal and those interns. It seems like, oh my gosh, I don't have time or a budget for interns. But I'm telling you, the impact they can make on your company is phenomenal, right?
I agree.
At my company, we have 4 employees now. They're in their early 20s. And the vibe, the intelligence, the insight they bring to the company, it's significant.
I was going to say, John, I've got a pin I want to sell you here.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's funny. I have trouble. Like I would struggle with that. I have to really, really believe in what I'm selling. I guess if I really believed it, it's my favorite pen. I probably could do it. but I didn't you like though that here's what the thing you had here is he didn't say jump in and sell the pen.
Yeah,
he said the
right.
Impressive one started asking questions. Wasn't that good?
He said you need to know what people want before you try to sell them.
That's right. And solve the problem. Man, Sal Tarsia.
Good stuff.
I like that guy. I was funny when I asked the question what he didn't like. I was so bad wanting him to say, when he gets my lasagna and meat sauce wrong, like hey, don't bring that. Like I wanted him to say that.
It's time to come the real estate market.
Yeah, that's right. No, we're butchering all this. We're going to want to lose our respect. But he wasn't that. He was the real deal.
Oh yeah,
real
I loved
deal.
it. Love it.
All right. Until next time, this has been the Crossman Conversation CEO Edition.
This has been the Crossman Conversation CEO Edition with your host, John Crossman. Tune in next week for another talk with an experienced CEO that will help bring clarity to your business endeavors.
The preceding was a Mark Radio production.